I'll be describing a pinwheel experiment that took place on January the 5th, 2023. So the Alice covering is still in place. It's placed there December 25th, and since that was put in place, there have been no anomalous blink camera activations. So I went backpacking on the Appalachian Trail January 1st and was gone through to the 4th. And here on the second day, January 2nd, my wife entered the room so we get a chance to see if the pinwheels, the cameras are still activating properly. There's her image. And they are. They turned very strongly. Her entrance in the room really disturbed them. But there's no further activations. They come down after she leaves. And there's no further activations after that. So January 4th, I put this pewter in the altar, added that to the altar. And so we have the prayer cloth, the possible St. Charlene Richards prayer cloth, and this pewter here, and the covering in place. And on January the 5th, we're going to do our experiment on Thursday night, and I set up the cell phone camera, and my entrance in the room causes a little bit of turning here on the part of Lefty, which shows that the blink camera is activating properly, functioning properly. So then I checked the zoom camera system and check to see if there's any activity. And actually I had looked previously on the blink, everything was still. I turned on the zoom camera and there is some activity, but it's just a few minutes after that first one, so it's hard to say or hard to interpret that. Some perhaps residual turbulence from my entering the room previously. And then I did a second zoom camera check, but it didn't capture the images of the pinwheel, and they were completely still, and they remained completely still. Then while I was watching, we saw some movement, a real slight movement of the Lefty, and it seemed to me that was unusual. I interpreted that as being kind of unusual, as if it was saying hello to me, because it's before the 7 o'clock beginning of the experiment. So the experiment starts at 7 o'clock. During the entire experiment, there were no anomalous activations. Here's the notes. Heather described a dream. Melanie talked about her water poltergeist. Melanie did a card reading, which I wanted to know what we should do to get the pinwheels to turn. We did an ESP game, did a card reading for Melanie. Then there was some conflict during this session. I don't know how much I should go into it, but a little bit of conflict and turbulence. And here's our ESP experiment, which here's the target object, and everyone made comments. People mentioned water and the sky and particular lines which coincide with these lines. So all in all, the experiment was evaluated as being very successful. The people seemed to enjoy the experiment a great deal, but there were no activations of the blink cameras during this session. And so then I removed the cell phone here at 22:35. Let's see what it looks like here again. And inside this container, I hold my hand up. That's to activate to see if the camera functions. It's a movement of my hand, but the pinwheel here, Alice inside the container, does not move at all. It's completely still. And simultaneous with that, the other camera, also activated, and it captured my movement in the room, removing the camera. And so you have a little bit of turning because of the air turbulence in the room. So the cameras are functioning properly, but so that suggests to me that there are absolutely no activations pinwheel turning enough to trigger the camera during the session. So there were no anomalous blink camera activations. We made a lot of discussions, talked about anomalous experience and the poltergeist phenomena, the water poltergeist and card readings and emotional topics. All those things have brought about pinwheel turning in the past, but they did not this time. And they were also kind of a therapeutic quality, a kind of therapy session perhaps even. And the fact there were no blink activation shows that it doesn't seem like our conversations are really enough to trigger the activations. I don't think we shouldn't reach that inference. And then also this introduction of the Charlene Richards prayer curl and pennant, that did not seem to have an effect on the phenomena.